Hello everybody in the land of the internet, Jason Rivers here, and welcome to this Let's Play of DevPro. I'm here today to show you a Spellbook Prophecy deck, and afterwards I will show you a duel. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. First off, we'll start with the monsters, which all have Prophecy in their title. Well, the majority of them do. We don't have any traps in this deck, and the rest of the spell cards are pretty much spellbooks, and I will get to them in a minute. Before I carry on, I should just say that I don't run a side deck, as I don't like to play long duels. But yes, let's get straight into it. First, we start off with 3 copies of High Priestess of Prophecy, and this is our boss card of the deck. You can reveal 3 spellbook cards in your hand to special summon this card. Once per turn, you can banish 1 spellbook card from your hand or graveyard to target 1 card on the field and destroy it. So yes, absolutely brilliant effect, and it also has 2500 attack as well. Next we have 1 copy of Toon Gemini Elf, just for the lols. We also use this in combination with the Toon Table of Contents. Next we have 2 copies of Justice of Prophecy. During the end phase of every turn in which you activate a spellbook card, you can banish this card from the field, add 1 level 5 or higher light or dark spellcaster type monster, and add 1 spellbook card from your deck to your hand, and you can only use this effect once. So obviously we'd use this to pull out the High Priestess. Next we have 1 copy of Jaugen the Spiritualist. Discard 1 random card from your hand to the graveyard to destroy all special summon monsters on the field, and as long as this card remains face up on the field, no monsters can be special summoned. So basically I'll just use this card as a blocker. Next we have 3 copies of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. When this card is normal summoned or flipped face up, add 1 spellbook card from your deck to your hand, so we just use this for drawing power. And finally we have 1 copy of Effect Veiler, and that's it for the monsters. For the spells, we have 1 copy of Heavy Storm, 2 copies of Spellbook of Power, which you can target 1 spellcaster monster that you control, and until the end phase it gains 1000 attack. Until the end phase, each time it destroys an opponent's monster on the battlefield, you can add 1 spellbook spell card from your deck to your hand, and you can only activate this card once. Next we have 2 copies of Spellbook of the Master. If you control a spellcaster type monster, you can reveal 1 other spellbook card in your hand to target 1 spellbook normal spell card in your graveyard, except for Spellbook of the Master. This card's effect becomes the target's effect, and you can only activate 1 of them per turn. So it's basically a copy card. Next we have 1 copy of Spellbook of Eternity. You can target 1 of your banished spellbook cards and add that target to your hand. You can only activate that once per turn, but I choose only to use 1 because there's only going to be a certain amount of cards that you will need that will go into your banishment pile that you can pull back out. Next we have 3 copies of Upstart Goblin, just used for drawing power, but it will also increase your opponent's life points by 1000. Next we have 1 Monster Reborn. Next we have 3 copies of Spellbook of Secrets. You can add 1 spellbook card from your deck to your hand, except for this one, and you can only activate it once per turn. Toon Table of Contents. This is just used for pulling out each Toon Table book, and then finally to pull out Toon Gemini Elf. I've already ran through the explanation in my previous Exodia Drag and Draw deck video, so go check that out for that strategy. Next we have 3 copies of Spellbook of Judgment. Absolutely amazing card. I think it's still worth about £70 in the UK. They can find it in the Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy set. During the end phase of this turn, this card was activated. You can add spellbook spell cards from your deck to your hand, except for this one, up to the number of spell cards activated during the card's resolution. In a way, it's kind of like Super Rejuvenation when you draw dragon cards out, but this is like works as a spell card drawer basically. Very good card. Next we have 2 copies of Spellbook of Wisdom. Target 1 face-up spellcaster monster on the field and activate 1 of these effects. It's unaffected by spell cards this turn, and it's unaffected by traps this turn. Next we have 3 copies of Spellbook of Fate. If you control a spellcaster monster, you can banish up to 3 spell cards from your graveyard to apply an effect depending on the number of cards you have banished. If you banish 1, you return 1 set spell or trap card to the hand. If you banish 2, you can change 1 monster on the field to either face down position or face up attack position. And 3, you can banish 1 card that your opponent controls. Next we have 2 copies of Spellbook Star Hall, which is a continuous spell card. Each time a spell card is activated, you place 1 spell counter on this card. All spellcaster type monsters you control gain 100 attack for each spell counter. And when this card with spell counters is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 spellcaster monster from your deck to your hand, whose level is equal than or less than number of the spell counters on this card. So if you have, is that a 7? Yes, it's a 7-star monster. If you have 7 spell counters, it's another way of getting this card out, basically. Next we have 1 copy of Spellbook of Life. You can banish 1 spellcaster monster from your graveyard and reveal 1 other spellbook card in your hand to target 1 spellcaster monster in your graveyard and special summon it in face-up attack position, and then equip this card to that monster. The equipped monster's level is increased by the level of that monster that it was banished for the turn's card of activation. It's a bit complicated, really, but I only use it in terms of summoning Xyz's monster to raise the level of the monsters. And finally, the field card. We have 2 copies of the Grand Spellbook Tower. Once per turn during your standby phase, if you have a spellcaster monster on your side of the field or in your graveyard, you can return 1 spellbook spell card from your graveyard to the bottom of your deck, except the Grand Spellbook Tower, then draw 1 card. When this card is destroyed by your opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 spellcaster type monster from your hand or deck whose level is less than or equal to the number of spellbook cards in your graveyard. It's pretty cool. And that's it for the main deck. For the extra deck, Synchro monsters, we have Crimson Blader, Scrap Dragon, Colossal Fighter, Thought Ruler Archfiend, Scrap Archfiend, Ancient Sacred Wyvern, Gaia Knight, the Force of the Earth, Tempest Magician, TG Hyper Librarian, and Formula Synchron. And for the Xyz monsters, we have Super Dreadnought Canna Express Gustav Max, Hierophant of Prophecy, 2 copies of that, Wind Up Zen Mains, as always, for defense, and Gachi Gachi Gantetsu. And so, yeah, that is the deck, and so let's go straight into a duel. Okay, as always, we start out with rock, paper, scissors. I win, so I'm going to choose to go first. Okay, we have pulled out all 3 of the Spellbook Magicians, Spellbook of Judgment, and 1 High Priestess of Prophecy. I think we're going to... I think we should start out by normal summoning a Magician, so we can have the effect to pull out a Spellbook card. And I'm going to bring out a Star Hall, so we can start putting counters on it. Won't activate Judgment for now, and we will end our phase. So, an okay start, not the best, but it's alright. Okay, so our opponent activates a trade-in, and I believe that was a Blue Eyes, was it? Oh, a Mythic Water Dragon, my mistake. Okay, so they draw 2 cards, and we're just waiting to see what they do. Possible that they might be running some kind of Exodia deck if they're, but that I would assume that straight away, but I'm not sure. Okay, they have played a Gimmick Puppet Scissor Arm, and they can target 1 monster. I can send 1. Sorry, I'm reading the effect completely wrong. When this card is normal summoned, you can send 1 monster from your deck to your graveyard, and they have sent a Gimmick Puppet Dreary Doll. So I assume some kind of Gimmick Puppet deck. Okay, so they send my Magician to the graveyard, and I have 7,300 life points left. And they end their turn, and it is now mine. We have pulled a Spellbook of Power. If I summon the Magician again, I can bring another Spellbook into my hand. I'll go with the Spellbook of the Master. So now I can use the High Priestess effect and reveal these 3 cards so that I can special summon her to the field. And I will also equip High Priestess, and I'll also chain it with the Spellbook of Judgment. So there's 2 spell counters. My attack is now raised to 3,700. I'll activate Spellbook of the Master. To bring out, to target the effect of Spellbook of Power. And use it on High Priestess again, so her attack is now 4,800. And we will go straight into our battle phase. So we will attack the Gimmick Puppet, which will do a lot of damage. 3,600, which takes our opponent down to 4,400. Do I wish to use from the graveyard the Spellbook of Power's effect? Yes, I do. Do that twice with a chain from Spellbook of Master as well. We will add a Spellbook of Secrets into our hand. And also another Spellbook Starhall, just for extra power. And we will attack with the Magician. And go into our second main phase. Lay down the second Starhall. Activate the Spellbook of Secrets to add 1 Spellbook card from our hand to from our deck to our hand, and I will pull out the Grand Spellbook Tower for the field card. We will lay down the Spellbook Tower, placing more spell counters and powering up our monsters even more, and we will end our phase as there is nothing else to do. Okay, and so Spellbook of Judgment is activated, so we can add 4 Spellbook cards to our hand. We'll go with Secrets, Wisdom, Fate, and another Spellbook of Power. And we can special summon 1 spellcaster monster from our deck, so we'll go with Justice of Prophecy. Yeah, we will chain the Prophecy's effect, Justice of Prophecy. We won't bother chaining any other cards, so we will summon another Priestess, High Priestess of Prophecy, and we will add another Fate to our hand. But we'll have to get rid of some cards. We need to get rid of 2 cards, so we will get rid of Toon Gemini Elf. And we will get rid of Secrets. See what our opponent does. Okay, so they seem to have activated the effect of Gimmick Puppet Dreary Doll, was it? Okay, they've sent... Okay, they've summoned Dreary Doll in defense mode. They lay down Advanced Draw. We can tribute 1 face-up level 8 monster or higher to draw 2 cards. Let's see what else they do. See, it's the only... I mean, it's very tedious waiting around to see what your opponent does, but I can't really complain as I'm doing the same. Okay, they summon a gimmick puppet egghead. You can only use the effect of this once per turn. You can inflict 800 damage to your opponent, or this card's level becomes 8 until the end phase. Okay, so they inflict 800 damage to me. Okay. Anytime you're ready to end the phase. Okay, they summon a mythic water dragon in defense mode. And activate Junk Puppet. You can target one gimmick puppet in your graveyard and special summon it. You can only activate it once per turn. Okay. Oh, and I have won because they obviously haven't got any combos to work with. But yes, even if it did get to my next turn, I would have been able to summon another High Priestess Prophecy by revealing any 3 of these cards, add it to the field, activate more cards to power them up, and I would have just totally obliterated. But yes, it's a very, very good deck, a very powerful deck as well, with, especially when you use it with all the right combos and everything, so highly recommend it. It's a very fun deck as well. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Please like, comment down below, and subscribe for future content, and I shall see you in the next video.